Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, don't do unboxings, but we generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. In this video we're going to be talking about a card game. We're going to be talking about San Juan, and in this game you'll be building buildings, producing different types of goods that will give you victory points that will hopefully allow you to win the game. So in this video we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules, be telling you what we do like, what we don't like. Then we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not San Juan is worth your time and bother today and in the future. So remember, if you are new here, please consider subscribing to this channel, hit the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. See you after this. Bollocks. So San Juan, how'd you play this game? So San Juan is a role selection card game based on the 2005 classic Puerto Rico. One player is going to get the governor card and they will then choose one of the 5 roles and take the action associated with it. You will see that there is a basic action and then there is a privilege that the governor will be able to take. And then once the governor has taken the action, then all the other players will get to take the action, but they don't get to take the privilege, right? So some of the roles that you could take the builder. This will allow you to build 1 building and the governor will be able to build a building for 1 less money. When you build a building, you will have to pay for it in cards. So if a building costs 2, then you'll have to give up 2 cards from your hand and put them in a discard pile. Yeah, there's 2 different types of cards. You've got city cards and you've got production cards. Production cards will produce goods of that type, and city cards will give you a special bonus and ability. So next action is the producer. This will allow you to take a card from the stack and put it on top of one of your production buildings. Yeah, so if you've got an indigo production building, you could take a card from the top of the pile and stick it on there, and then this has produced a good. The governor's privilege is that you get to produce 2 goods, right? So the next one you could do is a trader. This is where you'll be selling goods that you produced. The governor can sell 2 goods as opposed to 1, and you'll take the card off of the production building and then you'll flip over one of the trading tiles, and then you'll get that number of cards into your hand based on the type of goods that you produce. So if you produce coffee and you've got a 2 on the trading tile, you'll get 2 cards. Yeah. So the next action you could take is the counselor. This will allow you to draw cards into your hand. The governor will be able to take 2 cards. Everybody else will be able to take 1. And then you've got the prospector. This won't let you take an action, but the privilege is that you get to take a card, right? So once everybody has selected a role, you'll pass the governor 1 space clockwise and then you'll go again. So the game ends when 12 buildings have been completed. You'll finish the round and then you'll total up your victory points. You'll get the sum of victory points that are on your cards. You get 1 victory point for each card placed in the chapel if you got it. And then you'll get the victory points on the palace, and then you'll add up all of your 6 cost cards, and then the player with the most points will be the winner of San Juan. Do we like that? San Juan. So the first thing that we really like about this game is it condenses the original game into a more manageable experience. Yeah, all the information that you need is more or less on the cards, and it just gives you some simple choices to make. Yeah, are you going to save your cards for one of those really explosive 6-point buildings that's going to give you a massive benefit, or are you going to pepper your city with loads of shit buildings but give yourself more special abilities, right? So San Juan is a very, very simple game, and if you ain't got time to play the original, then this is a great substitute, right? So the second thing that we like about San Juan is it comes with the new buildings in the box. Yeah, the original Puerto Rico, you had to get an expansion to get the new buildings, but San Juan gives you these buildings straight away. Yeah, and you could just chuck them straight in. You don't have to have any special rules or alter the base game at all. You're just going to chuck the new buildings in and give yourself more variety, yeah, which is fantastic. So the final thing we like about San Juan is that you are going to get something every turn, and not just the turn where you're the governor. You're going to get something when it's the other players' turns, right? Okay, you're not going to get the privilege, you're not going to get a strong action, but at least you're going to get a privilege once every 4 turns. Yeah, so while you might not get exactly what you want on your turn, you're going to get something, and we love games that keep giving you rewards and stuff. Yeah, so what don't we like about San Juan? So the first thing that we don't like about San Juan is that the game can end up being a little bit too long. The fact that you've got to build 12 buildings before the game's over means that it can be frustratingly long at times, yeah. Maybe if you built 10 buildings, the game might go a little bit quicker, and it can suffer from having to peruse around all of your cards, especially when you've got a lot of city cards, to find exactly what things do and when. So it can suffer from a bit of drag, but I suppose that's up to you to get your arse in gear, isn't it? So the next thing that we don't like about San Juan is that sometimes you just end up with a shit hand, yeah, and there's not really anything you can do about it, because maybe in the later stages of the game all of the decent cards, all of the 6-point buildings have been built, and you're just going to end up with a pile of shit in your hand. Yeah, and when this happens it can be a real downer, yeah, because you'll be thinking, well, maybe a new card's going to come up this turn, maybe I'm going to be able to do this turn, but you can't do nothing because the deck has been largely depleted of all its tasty stuff, and you're just going to end up going through the motions, hoping that the game is going to end sooner. Yeah, so it can be a little bit frustrating due to the random card draw. So the final final thing that we don't like about San Juan is that some of the cards aren't fully explained with the text they stuck on the card. Yeah, you're going to have to go into the rulebook to find them. Yeah, and a good example of this is the bank. It says once per game, a player can take any number of cards and stick it under the bank. It doesn't tell you on the card that each one of these cards is worth 1 victory point at the end of the game. So if you get the bank, you might be thinking, well, what the fuck does this do? What's the point in putting cards underneath it? I'm not going to bother. But if you actually go in the rulebook and have a look, then you'll find out that this could be massively lucrative, especially if you've got the tower card that lets you have 12 cards in your hand. Yeah. So yeah, there's a few little misgivings with the way that the game is constructed. It's a card game. They could have stuck that little bit of text on the card, but they didn't do it. And as such, it can be a little bit of a pain in the shitter. So to summarise, San Juan worth your time and bother today and in the future? So we are going to say yes, San Juan successfully takes the core principles of its older sibling and translates it into a simple, manageable card game. It can drag on for too long due to the 12 card endgame condition, and as with all games like this, your hand may resemble a medieval latrine if you don't draw well. However, if you can't be asked to play the full fat version of Puerto Rico or are sensitive to inferred instances of racism, then San Juan might just be the game for you. So there you go, that is San Juan. Remember, if you are new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Hit the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. We'll see you next Tuesday.